And we're live. Okay, great. We are online on Instagram, we're on Twitch. This is November 2nd, second day of November 2020. And we try something new this year. We try to iterate over a body interpretation. I don't have any idea in mind. Don't have anything, just dig into some ideas. So let's try this. Okay, everything is live. Just a little tweet about it and we will be ready. It seems my camera is a little bit too... Okay, first of all, for the one who's following on Instagram, you may notice that I've changed my setup from yesterday. The video feed is now on the bottom left and output on the bottom right, and I set up the main screen on the top because I had some review of someone saying it might be more interesting to see the coding feed and the Unity feed on this part. So I've set up everything on this part, and on Twitch nothing has changed. I think I will increase the size of the font in Visual Studio in order you to follow the code. It will be better. Okay, so where were we yesterday? I've made this quick scene. Okay, this was the first body interpretation. The main idea was quite simple. We add here a 3D model. Where it is? Okay. Yeah, I'll also change the layout of Unity in order for you to see the inspector. So I've take a 3D model, a simple 3D model from Mixamo, retrieve an animation, simple walking animation of it, and we basically have 3 scripts on it. So we set up everything. So the 3D model, every mesh has a specific tag, which is Mixamo tag, in order to the script for the script to get the meshes and to retrieve the vertices. All the rig elements, which is used by the animator controller, has some Mixamo rig tag in order to get the to retrieve the bones position. So this is the setup. I just disable this to have anything on it, and basically we have a simple controller with 3 scripts. The main one is the Mixamo rig controller. It takes our Mixamo elements. We have an offset per vertices, we have an offset per vertex because this mesh has a lot of vertices, and it's quite easy to get everything, to retrieve everything, and because we bake the mesh every frame, so every frame we loop over all the vertices, so it might be complicated. So instead of looping over all vertices, each one we're looping over each 200, so 0, 9, 199, etc, etc. We also retrieve the normals, etc. And we add this script. This is where we stopped last night. This is the GPU mesh controller. Basically, it's a script which use GPU instancing, and the main idea is to take the Mixamo rig, take the data, especially the vertices. We spawn a mesh here, which is a sphere. We spawn it as a GPU instance. GPU instance is quite useful because you only have one element into the memory, but you can have multiple in the scene. And we use a compute shader to change the position over the time. So basically we bind an array to the compute shader, and every position for each sphere is set into the GPU side, which is quite efficient. So in this quick experiment, the main non-efficient things is the baking of the mesh. But maybe later we will find another solution. So this was our main experiment we made yesterday night. It was not perfect, and we had a lot of problem on it, and we just changed some variables to don't see any of this error, and I think I will try to correct some of them, and I will go back to the error later. So I've prepared a simple thing, which is, so this is the second scene, so 11:02, and you may notice I've changed my 3D model. Let me just reduce the gizmo. So I've changed the 3D model, and this is something I wanted to test just before starting the stream. The main problem for baking the mesh was the actual mesh. The mesh of David has too many vertices, so it was complicated to loop over each of them. So I wanted to try with another mesh, which has less and less vertices. It's not perfect again. So this is this one. It's not perfect because we have a lot of vertices around the hair, the nose, the eyes, also the hands, etc., etc. So if I want to take a random vertex over all of them, I might be ending on the hand. So this is not perfect, but again, I think we will change the 3D model over these Codevember experiments, because it's a 1-month experiment, so we have a lot of time. And how I can change this mesh? So basically, to change the mesh, I've taken a mesh. I retrieved a mesh from TurboSquid. This is a free mesh available in FBX and OBJ. It has 5K vertices, so I thought it was good. What's interesting in this mesh, it wasn't rigged, so it didn't have any animation. It didn't have any rig, so any humanoid rig on it. So it enabled me to try something I wanted to try since a long time, which is the Mixamo rigs auto rig system. So what's Mixamo? And I think this will end our introduction. Mixamo is a platform from Adobe where you can find a lot of 3D models, all humanoid models. They are free for download, but you can also find a lot of animation for your games and for your video projects, such as running, walking, jumping, dancing, etc., etc. So I really love Mixamo because I can have some crazy idea about an animation and take the animation and plug it into a 3D model, and it's really easy to have a simple walking animation or jumping or anything. And you can see I added my model here. So how does it work? Let me reduce in order to see the full interface on Instagram. Okay. So you need to upload the mesh. So mine is here. It's called basemeshmansimple.fbx. Yeah, the trouble. Okay, I need to relog. Okay. Okay, so let's upload the 3D model. So we can upload an FBX or an OBJ. Let's try the OBJ, this one. I've tried the FBX just before. And when the 3D model is loaded, you can see your 3D model in T-pose here, and it's quite good. It's the 3D model. And next, it's really simple. You just need to drag and drop all these little point here on the place they need to be. You can use the symmetry or not if your model are not symmetricals, and you can have different standard meshes. So I still I just took the standard skeleton. So drag the chin, drag the wrist. So as you can see, it's quite simple because we're in symmetry. So the elbow again, the knee, and the groin. Okay, and now you will see Mixamo will load the mesh, and will it will create the humanoid rig. Hello Hugo. And once the rig is ready, you can load you can apply any animation. As you can see, the simple idle animation is quite good, especially when the rig is turning on itself. I can see some problem on the shoulder, but it's not a problem for us. So our 3D model is loaded, and if I want to add some jump, for example, let's say some kind of hero jump, so some Spider-Man jump, so you can use anything. So I took my standard walking animation and download it and add to my scene. So this is what I've got. I disable my David 3D models and enable my dummy model. In the controller, I simply change here my my element by my dummy, and again in my dummy you can see I've set up also all the tag. So this is simply my new setup for tonight. And when I click on play, we will have our simple dummy animation, and I kind of like the way we can see the dummy under the elements. I think I will keep it for this experiment. And something interesting again with changing my scene with this dummy is because now I can offset by 50 per vertex, so I have much more vertices. I think I have nearly 200 elements on stage. Yeah, 113. It's not a lot, but with GPU instance you can have with GPU instance you can have a lot instances. So I've made some sketch with thousands and thousands of elements, but here again baking the skin mesh is quite a heavy process. Someone telling me he hasn't the sound, so let me check. So let me check. Yep. When I'm changing when I check on Instagram, I have the sound, so désolé Hugo, tu devrais avoir du son normalement. Je sais pas pourquoi. Oh, and again, it's not my first live on Twitch, so I know how Twitch works, but Instagram it's my second live, and what I've learned, yesterday was Instagram has a limitation of 1 hour per live, so we will have some break every hour during this live. And because I use Yellowduck to broadcast from OBS Studio, Yellowduck and etc., I have a lot of setup in my computer, which kind of slow down the program here. Usually a live can be saved in the story on Instagram, but it seems my broadcast system doesn't like it, so I didn't find a way to save the Instagram live on the story. So if you want to see the previous live, you can go on Twitch, where every live are on for 30 days, I think. So that's good. Okay, let's start the real coding. So we have the position, we have the scale, but I think we don't have here the color, so I might have a problem in the GPU controller 1101, because I don't want to override the previous one. I will make a copy. So basically I take a random color where it is. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, I take a random value, and I was lapping between this color and this color, so maybe I didn't take the color in the shader, because the color is bound to this property. So on the property side it seems to be good, but it might be on the shader side, so which is, I think, here. Okay, so I have the color. Yeah. Okay, I think I found the problem. So let's duplicate this one, rename it, usually on a project I didn't have a lot of script, but because we are in Codevember, I prefer to keep every stage of every script, even the previous one, which are little buggy, so we will end up with a lot of script, but it might be good enough for us. Okay, so now this is my instance shader. Let's call it 1102. And I will call the previous one again 1101. Okay, cancel. Okay, 1102, 1101. Okay, 1102, and I think the color is stored in the in-outputs name color, because this is our structure. So, and the metalness, no, let's keep the color for this one. And if I'm correct, and I'm not, because I didn't change the materials, which is here, and now let's change it to okay, and in the custom this is the second one, so let's put it in our controller, on the GPU mesh controller, which is here. Okay, and cross finger. Okay, we now have different kind of color. It's not perfect, but it changed the color. What we can simply do to check if everything is working is simply disable the texture. So let's only keep the color just to try if we retrieve the color correctly. Okay, and now we have the color. Also, it's interesting to see that we can, let's take a pause. So as you can see, the mesh is basically a lot of different color, which is good, but we also have, and this is interesting, the as you can see here, okay, we have now the metalness and the ruggedness on the element. So the color is correct, and if I want to use the color, I think we need to change this by some simple terrazzo color here. Yeah, and this simple terrazzo, it's not a really black and white, but maybe we can use the pure black and white, which is stored in the displacement, and now we enable the color from the texture multiplied by the color from the instance. Okay, really smooth. Not sure about the displacements. We lost the yeah, this is what I wanted to get, this little kind of dirt things. Okay, the color are really not perfect because it was color from red to blue. So what happened when we go from this to maybe this? Yeah, a little bit more interesting. Maybe we can later try something like a ramp in order to change the color of the dirt and the dirt and yeah, the dirt and the base color. Quite difficult today. Okay, so I've got another problem which is on this script basically. So let's name it 02. Okay, not sure if I will change something like that, but in this one what we've made is here we have a rotation which is a random between 180 and 180, minus 180 and 180, so basically 360. And we command this, okay, and when we try to rotate the object, we had something which was really not interesting. So okay, and again take the sphere, So 0, 1, 0, 5, take these materials, this color, and right now we will take the 101. Okay, and remove this. 151, 151. Let's say 100 for now. I also need to change my controller here, which is now this one, and we will change the reference here. Okay, so here's our controller. Remove this one. And okay, so when I try to rotate as you can see, when I try to rotate the sphere, we end up with some kind of problem inside the okay, so we have a problem here. The problem is the lighting is not correct. As you can see, when we rotate, some sphere lose their orientation from the lighting. I already had this kind of problem here, but how did I resolve it? It's so where was I? Okay. It might be the word normals, but it's quite unusual. So it will be here. And where it is. Okay. A lot of notification tonight. Okay, so let's get rid of the shader error. Okay. Rename this as x102. I think I will. It will not. I think it's better if I change everything not on pre but on post, because it will be simpler when duplicate. It will increment automatically. Okay. Okay, so let's open our 2 shader instance 0102. Remove this by 1101. And 1102. Okay, and open the 1102. And I have the Unity object to world, and I think maybe I can do that. Maybe it's just the word normal. I don't think so, but it might be this. Let's be sure. Translate, rotate, scale. The system seems good for me. What happened if we here I have double rotation here. Let's say quaternion dot identity. Might be our problem. No. Not really the problem, because when I say identity here, as you can see, it's good. I can change. I can try this one inside here. Can change normal, so I can multiply the property instance ID word matrix, which is this one, with the v dot normals, but does it change anything? No. Quite interesting. We have something and the instance ID is this. Okay. I don't really understand the problem here. I think I had an hard drive. Don't know where I... Oh yeah, it's here. With some script on it. Okay. Okay, this was another script I used, but where is everything? VAT util, where is it? Oh, setting and simple TRS. Okay. 3D matrix order. So, what happens with this TRS problem? Okay, I tried to find something. Okay, this was the example I was looking for. Because the lighting seems correct. This is a drum edge instance, so translate, rotate, scale. And their float tree. Might be easier to use this. Here's something like a transform into the CG ink here, and here we go. Okay, so I have a problem here. Don't know why, but problem. This one I don't need. Okay. And I didn't have a problem in the compute shader, I think. Okay, compute 02. Okay. This is my scale, this is my rotate, and this is my transform. So what happens if we just change that? Okay, let's try something simple. Okay, and it's really not correct. I think for right now we will try to correct this later, but let's focus on something that will work. So I have a problem with my matrix, so okay. But let's try something different. Okay. The main idea in order to rotate was not having the repeating pattern here. We can clearly see all the same area of the texture, but if I want, I can offset it quickly just to have something useful. I think in the util I've made, yeah, in the math, okay, shape operator, I might have a random somewhere. Yeah, I have a noise here, so let's add it in the util. Okay, so where is my shader? Okay, I think I will add it here. So this is called noises, and although I can add it here, I included this. Okay. Okay. And now if I want, I can create a random offsetter here. So something like, let's say, a float, for example, and here in the shader we will create something like o.id, and this will be equal to float unity instance id. So now we can get the idea. And I will float rnd offsetter, just offsetter, setter equal, and we will take simple random, so random of int.id. And this is our offset x, and let's take an offsetter y with some constant after that. Okay, and now we have to offset, which is now equal to float 2. And now we can say frac of this plus offset. And if it worked, we didn't. Really not perfect. It's kind of jiggy, not everywhere, but it's jiggy. Why it's jiggy? I think it's jiggy because I have a lot of elements on the same at the same places. Let's check if we want less elements, for example. Only have 15 elements. One, two, three. And let's forth the ID by setting the max instance ID to 4, for example, in the controller. Yeah, this was the problem, I think. You can see we didn't have the same pattern here, but here we have some kind of jiggy because I think we have a lot of sphere at the same places. So let's keep it that way, and now we will try to animate the sphere just to scale up and scale down. So in my GPU mesh controller, let's keep here this here and this here. So basically I want to change the scale. Which is this kind of matrix, I think. So I have the O scale, which is the original scale, which is here, and I have the proper scale. So let's say something. If I want a new scale, I need some new time, some new variable, so I need the time in order to count over. In the data, I think I have here, this is the index, but I have available time, and might be interesting to try that. Okay, let's try. So I think the scale is 1001 0101 0010 and 0001. Property sc mat equal scale, and if everything is correct, I will now have a scale of 1. Not found. Error inside the shader. Which is a parenthesis instead of a bracket. And again another error. Not found. Okay. Why? Of this. Okay. And as you can see, I have not a scale here, but made an error on this part, and I think it's because it's 000. I'm not sure of this one, but yeah, I was not correct. Okay. Yeah, forgot this as a 1. Of course. Okay, so basically we can now change with the noise. So I want to change, maybe we can increment, maybe we don't need a noise, maybe we can simply take the time and increment the scale, and like popping elements, so it will be simpler, I think, because I just need here to say compute dot set float time and bind the time of unity, which is unity time. And I think this is this one, so I need to bind time.time. Okay. And I will create a random max time, which will be a random of our index as a float, and let's say something like I don't remember, I think the time in unity is in second, so 0, 1 might be 1, so if I want 4 seconds I would say this, so it will be a random between 4 seconds and 8 seconds for growth. And the scale will be now something like 112. Okay. Thank you for the comments. So the scale will be, so OSC mat is the original scale matrix, so basically this matrix will be help me to go back to the original scale. So now I will have something like float actual scale, which will be a scale, which is equal to a new float 4x4 SC mat. So this is, we will get this one. Okay. And scale is basically a float tree of is at index 0, 0, and the same at index 1, 1, and the same at index 2, 2. Ooh. Okay. I think that's it. No, I just need to create I think everything will loop over time. First of all, everything will loop over time, but float more time. So I want to have the modulo of the time, which is it's I think it take the modulo in not sure, but I think let's try it. More time of max time, float norm time is equal to this divided by the max time. This will return a pattern of the time incrementing from 0 to 80 to 80 to 80 to 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the norm time will get the same time but from 0 to 1 because it's normalized value. And now I can say float new scale is equal to we'll get also the original scale, and I've made some mistake here. Okay, and I will use again the same random, so float rnd I will generate only once, so it can be useful to retrieve it. And I will use the same random to get the max scale. So the max scale, this is the maximum scale of our sphere, which will be the original scale, of course, and the original scale multiplied by a random value. So, and if we want to increment the random value, yeah, by 2, so we can go from 0 to 2. Okay, and now I can say I want an interpolation, a linear interpolation between the original scale and my max scale depending on the normalized time, and I can bind this value to the scale value. And I think because we are on the scale, we will not change the last value. Not sure if I'm correct. Yeah, it's growing. Max time is quite too high, so let's reduce a little bit the value. Maybe the original scale can be 0 in order for the shape to rescale from the mesh. We can also change the time, because everything starts at the same time. So maybe we can scale the time. So let's say for time equal time, and let's scale it by a random value of 4. And now we can use this time modulo the max time and divided by the max time. So and now you can see it more difference. So again, we can disable the dummy, for example, just to maybe we can try to stop here and try to find a new dummy, just to be sure that our random offset a problem. But here we have a scale, so the scale is quite what happened if we make this? Yeah. really too high. Four was quite a good something interesting is if we divide the time by the max time, we can get the loop, and each time we change the loop we can change the size, in fact. So I can get a random, okay, and this is my max time, no problem, but my max scale can be different. So float loop is equal to the absolute value of the time divided by the max time. So for example, let's say I have a max time of 4 and my time is again by 8. You can see, so if I say 12 by 4, the absolute value is 3 because I have looped 3 times again and again and again. So I can use the loop in order to feed a new random value for the max scale. So each time a sphere will grow, each time the sphere grows and go back to 0, it will have a new max value. So my random 2, my naming convention is really not the best, but again it's Codevember, and during Codevember really convention is not what I'm looking for. So let's say a float 2 and the loop, so this is a new random, and okay. And maybe you can clearly no, let's keep it. I was thinking about okay, time reserve. I was thinking about get rid of the O scale, but it's kind of interesting to get it. Yeah, in order to check if everything is working, maybe we can change this. So let's say just offset everything. So I now have a random with a loop. I will also offset it by I don't know, something like that. Basically these constants are just a way to offset in the random because the random is a predictive one. But if I set this plus 1, so now I will have a size of 0 to 1, just to check. It kind of look like scale. It kind of look like a stop animation. Now we can also change the position here, because we take here an index, but we also have the position count. So maybe we can, every loop, define the index by taking a random value. Okay, so let's check it. Let's say int new index is equal to, and this is this one. This multiplied by this. I'm not sure if it's working. It seems to be always on the same spot. If we change this and say we want only two instances, okay. My 4 instances are always on the same spot. But in the compute, I've set up a new index. So why? Okay, now it's working. It's changing the position every time. Oh, the random has the same seed, so it looks like this is changing every time. So this gives me a lot of change. And I think it's because of the random. Let's change the value. Let's find the fixed time now. It's kind of strange the way it behaves. I know why. I need to floor that, of course. And it's popping again. Let's check my... I have a snippet in order to manage this, but I did not remember it, so let's remove this debug. Here it's an absolute, but maybe it's a floor value. Okay. Okay, but it's really not perfect. Some are little speed fast, some are not. This is quite strange. The random doesn't seem to be maybe it's because of the flow. Yeah, I think I had a 0 on the way. So now it's changing, so now we can have this one. And because the random is only based on the loop, every elements are on the same one, so we can now use, I think, this. Once again, it's strange. I don't know where, but sometimes I think a lot of them are in the same place, which is really not what I wanted to have. How many does I have? Because if everything is set up here, might come from the scale. Because if I don't set up the scale, everything is good. So we have everything here. Of course, the random is the same for everyone on the second loop, so it yeah, the random is for everyone, but here. So if I want a purely random here, it might be more interesting to say something like that. Okay. So now we can get the growing system. So everything seems to grow on the same spot, and that I cannot understand quite well right now, so let's remove this. But we might can change the color. I think it might be a solution. So now to think. So this what I had in mind at first. So having some bubble growing on the mesh, but we still have some problems, which are the rotation, which are the scaling, the offsetter of my of my texture in order to correct the rotation system. So let's remove it. I still have three slots for the on the compute shader. I can add something that I think could be interesting by changing the the main idea is to discard some pixel to so fade out effect on the bubble when they reach their max size, and then I can, because I still have some slot available on this data, especially here, I can, and even in the color I can bind the value to the color here, so it will be the norm time. So specifically I can say property id dot color dot a equal the norm time, which is here. Okay, so now it will not change everything because I didn't use the alpha, and I will not use the alpha on the shader side. I will use it as a discard. So let me retrieve it. I've made it today on another project, which is here. This was this one. So basically it's come from this website. I found this one. It's a stipple transparency shader, so it's kind of useful when you want to, you can see, when you want to add an alpha to an object which has different sides, different objects inside it, etc. You can make result this kind of multiple object view, which is not quite beautiful, and the main idea is to discard some pixel depending on a value. So we will have an alpha test and we will have a value, and it might be interesting to screen this. We have a threshold here, but we can change the threshold by another matrix. So let me use this here. So let's discard it. So I need an alpha test and I need a new value, which is hint.color.a, which is path to the shader by here. So in the vertex shader we get the color from each instance, then we bind it to our value in the fragment shader. So I just need here an alpha test. So alpha test is a simple value, so it's a float, and right now it will be equal to 1. Okay, let's declare this value. And we use it in here. And I think this is good. Not sure, let's try. Maybe I will need to, oh yeah, of course I need to add here the float for screen pose in the structure of my in shader. Okay, let's try it. Okay, so now it's inverted, so I will need to, as you can see, it's kind of interesting. So I need to invert the value, let's say here. So the bubble will grow and fade out automatically. And because it's on the discard, you can see it's kind of interesting because you can discover everything outside. And the alpha test also can be quite interesting because where it is, okay, so where is my project? This is my math, and we can change this value. Let's transform to a range. Okay, and if I set up, so it will fade out late on the, as you can see. Oh, it's kind of interesting. And I prefer when the fade is quicker. So it's a way to use some kind of an alpha without even using an alpha test and using any alpha enabled shader, which can be tricky when you use an alpha shader with all the alpha testing and the shadow and everything. And now what we can try is, not know what we can try. If we want, we can change the camera. We still have some problem, especially because we have this rotation problem. We have also this setting problem. But we managed to make the color. We can make some ramp. Because the main problem here is the color. The color and the scale, which is quite big, I think. This is strange. When I use the do I have a problem on the original scale? No, this is this one. Why same at 0, 1, 2. Oh, my. It was a int instead of a float. Okay, let's find a color value. Let's focus on the color part now. So I think we'll have our main system, which is this kind of bubbly. We can also add, because I still want to add some new thing inside of it, and I still have, again on another project, some kind of, not some kind, I still have some easing function, so maybe I can add some easing function in order to change the value of the time. Might be better. So in the script, in the util function, here it is. Okay, let's again open this folder, paste our easing function, and here it is, our easing is here. So now I can open it. So basically it's some easing function I've made for GLSL, which are just translate into HLSL. So I didn't remember easing curve. I never remember which one is the acceleration and deceleration. I know it's quite not good, but yeah. So the in starts slow and then accelerate a lot, but the out starts fast and decelerate. So I think I will add some puff. So this will be a out quad, for example. An out quad could be interesting. So easing, and now I will ease my value for the scale. So float is equal my out quad of the norm time. Not sure if the out quad will be enough. It's more slow, and as you can see, the bubble pop more slowly, so it's better. But maybe we can just change it again. So the stipple is here, we don't need it again. The GPU and something, I will keep it because I think I will try to find a way to correct my problem. So let's say easing curve. Let's find someone. So yeah, I know the principle of animation, it's okay, but I want to have the the sheets. Where is it? Haha, cannot find it. Let's use it. So I use this one quad, but I might use the cubic or the quintic. So an out cubic, I think I've made it. Yeah, I have an out cubic. Yeah, this is better. Our bubble man is now more slowly, and it increases. We can change a little bit the time. Let's say between 2 and 4 seconds of randomness. Profile might be good enough also. Maybe for a video, but I prefer this one. It's kind of mesmerizing, but I'm not satisfied about the color, and I think I will need to find a color pattern. I can also reduce the number of the sphere, which gives us I kind of like when I have some body which didn't have the full body drawn, so like this leg where we cannot have any bubble. We can recognize the body, but there is not enough elements to recognize a person, and in kind of interpretation, in terms of interpretation, is quite interesting. Also, it reminds me of Rayman, the game, which is quite good. So maybe we can change the pattern here, because it's it nearly 2 hours of work, so I think I will try to create a new surface shader, and we will call it ground 1102. And because I really like the debug view and the digital view, etc., etc., I will create a simple checkerboard pattern, and really it's not the more complicated shader. So let's name this call rows, and it's a vector, and it will be, let's say, 10 by 10 by 0 by 0. So we'll have a float to call rows, and now let's check. So let's say float new uv equal in dot uv main text multiplied by call rows, int euv float 2 euv equal to floor and uv, and float2 fuv will be equal to frac of nuv. Okay. Now I need to know the index of the global index, which is float index, so the index of the shell, which is of course iuv.x plus iuv.y multiplied by colors.x. And now I will need to the mod 2 of this, mod 2 index, which is of course index will go by 2 to get the even number. And now we can lap between two values, so let's say we will call it back instead of color, but again it's a back color, and it will be a color, let's say 000. Suffix 4 back. Okay. Let's say O dot to equal back multiplied by mod plus color multiplied by 1 minus not sure of this part, but it's what happens when you think a little bit too fast. Let's rename everything to be able to have some incrementation when we duplicate them. So cool. Oh, and it's far from perfect. 1 2 3 4 5. Oh yeah, of course I need to add an offset for each or I can change simply by this. And we will add for each index, we will add a modulo of 2 of this. And now it's good. And I can simply rotate the plane also on the y-axis, maybe something like that. Just have some kind of perspective on it. You can try to also change the position of the camera. Okay, and now because the ground is really too dark, okay, it's good enough for me. But the color of this is really not good. So let's open Photoshop. Let's convert our images into a black and white, and then we can think about the color. Okay, dev, code number, assets, texture, terrazzo color, and first of all, let's say it's a pure black and white, so you can multiply by color without having any color offset. So this will be 3. Okay. Oh, the colors are a bit more powerful. And now we can go to quite interesting. You can use this color, and what's interesting is we can use it as a ramp. In fact, let's try this. So this is the color we want. Let's change. We'll try 2 things. Okay. We'll disable the magnetism. Okay. I really don't know why my Photoshop is in French. I need to reinstall everything. Okay, let's try something like that. I want 3 rows. So what I'm doing here is changing the ramp, creating a ramp, in fact. Inverting the color is not interesting. So I'm creating 2 ramps. First one is the ramp with clear color, and the second one will be blurred. And I will use a directional blur to blur everything. Okay. And now this will be in our code member assets texture, and we will create a folder named ramp. And I will name it ramp 1102 1. Okay. And now I will set up a ramp. It will be a ramp. Okay. I'm in the ground shadow, so it's not here, it's in the sure it's not from this project, it's from this one. Okay. Sampler to the ramp. Okay, and now I have my ramp. And something I want to use is to create a random value based on the I will use some slot available here. So first of all, the data is here. As you can see, I only use the first slot, so I have the Y, the Z, and the W. So I think I will use the Y to save a random value, and the random value will be depending, I think it will be this one, just to check if it's changed. So let's say this dot data dot Y will be equal to the the RNT2. And if I want to change, I will not use the color we've set here. I think we will use it later, but okay. Let's create a float 2, which will be equal to UV. So I need to retrieve the data, of course. So first of all, float 2, so it will be in dot data.y, and our value will be 1 dot divide by 0.25. First of all, I will try to get the step value. So this is why my y value is at 0.5 in order to be on the upper left of the texture. And we will try to say ramp equal ramp of my UV here and not in color. So now I need to add in my struct a new float, which will be data. And it will be a float form, of course, because in the vertex shader I will simply bind dot data, oops, all the data will be equal to props dot data. And now I can try this. I can reuse this, but I can try simply by changing this, check if it's working by setting o.albedo equal ramp.rgb and check if it works. Yes, as you can see, we can get some values, so it's quite interesting. And let's check what happens if we not choose the step color but the gradients. So I move from the upper left, the top of the texture to the bottom of the texture. So we not really see the difference, but what's quite interesting is it seems our color are still the same, even if we try to change the value. So let's zoom into it. Let's try this little bubble here. As you can see, it always has the same value. So the idea was to take a ramp. So the data is here. So now we can simply multiply here this by this. Let's keep the c.rgb, but we can use this multiply by the ramp just to see the pattern, as you can see. But might be interesting to get some color inside it. So let's say ramp 01, and let's try something like that, and ramp 10, which will be equal to float to 1 minus uv.x uv.y. Then we will get, so we have the first ramp and the two ramp. Really, it's not working like that. I'm thinking something too complicated, but in fact it's only what are the color? The color, I think I want to ramp on it. So it's my UV here, which depends on the albedo. Yeah, but if I do that, I will lost my... Oh, I can use a fract, yeah, in order to offset everything. Yeah, something like that. I will use the UV plus C dot R, and this will be a fract of this, and this will be something like that. Yeah. So I can see the ramp create this kind of little artifact. It's kind of interesting. I think I like that. Well, I think this will be all for tonight. Can try to have a more powerful ramp by changing the curve on it, adding something more powerful. For example, and also changing the tint. I already work with bluish color. Maybe just keep this. But more saturated, yeah, something like that. As a second ramp, why not? And now we can change the ramp. I'll use the second one, which is more colorful. And here we are, something with more color. I'm not sure to know which one I prefer. think I prefer this one. And now we can change a little bit of the post effects. Okay, so now I have a new clone of our post effects. The ambient occlusion is still good, I think. Okay. So just done mapping. Do I prefer the custom or the trackball? We will use it later. I think it will not know, yeah. It's not on the good rendering path, this one. Okay. So, I think we have everything right now. Maybe we can increase a little bit the tiling. Or not. It's kind of interesting to have this tiling on this wall. And I think I need to have some more counterpoint inside the more yellowish, I think. It will not depend on this one, I think it will more depend on the curve by removing the Okay, and now something like that. As a second curve. So it's the third one, which is more yellow, and yeah, I prefer this one. I wanted to have some yellow inside of it. And maybe we can add some quick rotate around. I think again I may have a script somewhere else. Global mesh mixable. I always look for a rotator on script and I always lost it. I always lose it, sorry. Okay, script. Rotation. My god. Okay, but let's find something like Unity 3D rotate. Okay, in the util we'll create a new script. Let's name it rotate around, and we will have some kind of unique game object target, and this will be transform.rotate around target point position, and this will be a big float speed 20. And now I need to say transform dot get target transform position. And I have an error where it is, and then target because it's target. Okay, so my main camera will now have this rotator on script, which will come here. Okay, and I think we will rotate around the dummy. Let's try. Yeah, it's good, but not enough. So I need a gizmo which is not on the base. So yeah, the hip maybe. I kind of like the jiggy system.